This is the MBA Wire, episode 22. So excited about this season. Let's see, I got another question here. If I were an actor, which actor would I be? That's easy. Keanu Reeves. All the way.
Inspirational MBA talk with successful alumni to motivate you during your application run. We go behind the scenes of every story, talk business, and show you why it's worthwhile to never give up on your MBA dream. And now, here's your host with the most, Mateo Chang.
What's happening, citizens of the MBA Wire? Welcome back to the AGAC Conference 2015 Europe. This is so exciting. We were in Paris. Right now we are in London. It sounds kind of echoey because we're in an empty room here away from the party that's going on as a celebration to the amazing things that AGAC has been doing. We are in London at the London Business School, and I have the pleasure and the honor right now to be able to introduce to you two guys that have been changing the landscape of preparation, test prep. Two guys from Veritas Prep, also sponsors of the AGAC. Thank you guys so much. Right? We have Scott Schrum and Travis Morgan. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Travis Morgan, these two guys from Veritas Prep. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes of your time here to help motivate our students. I'm so honored for this to happen.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Thanks, Mateo. Glad to be here.
And we're just here. We want to just kind of open the conversation up. I know a lot of students. I have directed some students to Veritas. That's why it was. You guys were one of the my focal points for this conference.
I bet you say that to all the companies.
No way. No. I promise you, I don't. You can actually. I have proof. I have proof. If you go to the MBAWire.com, you will see that I don't talk about other companies, but Veritas has been on the vanguard of the preparation market, and it's been amazing on how you guys have been just really stepping up your games and taking it to another level. I think that's amazing. And I think that's great for the students who are going through the application process right now to understand. Because here's the thing. The second most common reason why students stop their application process midway is because of financial issues. And that actually we've taken care of in an interview with Prodigy Finance in another episode. This time, it's also in the matter of preparation. And sometimes, yes, I work in the consulting business, but some students do not have the resources to hire a private consulting office. So then we have to direct them to, resources like GMAT Club or ETS.
Sure.
But Veritas Prep, I understand that you guys also have a free course and things like that. I just want to open up this conversation so that you guys can, really talk about what it is that you do, what your vision is, and tell me a little bit tell our listeners a little bit about yourselves.
As far as test preparation goes, and admissions consulting for that matter, we are higher priced relative to a lot of the players in the market, but we all the time are talking about how do we make sure we're helping everybody in the market. And that's why if you go to Veritas Prep, you can sign up for a free practice test we've built ourselves using computer adaptive technology, the same algorithm that powers the real GMAT. That goes into our practice test. You can take a free one. You can sign up for 7 practice tests for $49, really inexpensive. And not to sound like a shill, but I'd put those up against what anybody has in the market. Anybody, if you have an iPhone or an iPad, if you download our free iOS app, you can download our video lessons. The video lessons taken from the entire GMAT course. Now, you don't get everything else that our students get. You don't get instructor access. You don't get the online student account. You don't get the practice test. But you can download that app and get more than 20 hours of free video GMAT instruction. And the reason is we really don't want that to be a hindrance for anybody who's preparing for the GMAT. We truly believe we've figured out the best way to prepare for this test. And we have plenty of students that pay us for private tutoring, pay us for in-person courses, online courses. The other 90% who either can't afford it or they're not sure that they're willing to spend that money, we open up a ton of resources to make free or very inexpensive GMAT prep available to them.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Travis, I understand that you are also head of like GMAT prep, or you do provide GMAT prep?
I teach, yeah. I'm one of our instructors.
Awesome.
And so one of the things about Veritas Prep that I think is more quantitative that people know about us is that the instructors all have scored in the 99th percentile on the GMAT themselves, on an actual GMAT test. But to be honest with you, what we really look for in that pool of instructors are people who can really connect with people. Just because as an instructor that person scored in the 99th percentile doesn't mean that they can show you how you can raise your score. And that is a real challenge, right? Saying, I didn't understand this question at all. I have no idea where it's going at. And starting at where the student is coming from and saying, oh, here was our thought process. Here's the way we would naturally think about something like this when it's asked to us. But here's how the GMAT wants us to think about this, and helping us change our mindsets so that then we can be able to approach future questions that may not look exactly the same, but still be able to say, aha, I know where the GMAT's going with this thing. And so being really relatable with your students is something we really look for.
Yeah, that's actually amazing, and that reminds me of something that I was thinking about recently. Here's the thing, guys. Like, I've seen your ads, like whenever I access some sort of site, like regarding the MBA or regarding postgraduate admissions and stuff. I've seen your ads personally, and I'm a consultant, and I've seen it, and I was just like, I hadn't met you guys, anybody from Veritas Prep, until this conference. And I was always like, well, these guys are, humongous, these guys are so like, these guys are just giants in the industry. They are. But I'm saying this in a sense that, it's like you feel a little bit small, and you're like, oh, where's the personal touch, the personal contact? And after I've met you both, and I've spoken with you, and Scott actually I think it was Scott, that actually was talking about how you guys care really about the student, which is actually the basis of consulting as well. I mean, we really have an emotional attachment to the student. And the fact that I realized that you guys are really in the business of helping the student and not just providing a prep test online or something, you guys have this personal touch has made me really, really respect what you do. I mean, it's been.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I tell whether it's the test preparation side of what we do or the admissions consulting side of what we do, so many of our students and our clients end up knowing more than one person in Veritas Prep headquarters by the time they're done with their service, whether they've finished their course or they finished their admissions consulting engagement. Odds are that they've talked to somebody, one of what we call our GMAT course advisors are the people who onboard the students. Our customer experience team, if you ever have any issue or a problem or question, hey, I missed Monday night's class in London, what can I do? Oh, don't worry about it. They're pre-recorded classes. We can set you up with another class for free. By the time they've finished, and also don't forget their instructor or the admissions consultant they've worked with, and everybody who works with us typically works with multiple admissions consultants, all working together on that client's application. When they write a review for us at the end, or they fill out a kind of a detailed survey that we ask every student or every admissions consulting client to fill out, they'll often name multiple names of either was their consultant, the instructor that they spent hours face-to-face with, a couple of people whom they dealt with over email or the phone at headquarters. It's so rewarding when we see...
On a first-name basis.
And Pete was amazing, and then Ashley, when I had a problem, she took care of me, and Travis always stopped to answer my question. You'll see 3 or 4 names come through in a review. That is the norm with us, and that's what we expect. If we're not seeing that, then we get antsy that we're not giving people enough personal attention.
People assume we're in this huge telecenter or something, but the fact of the matter is we all just work together right across the room from each other.
Two suites right next to each other, and everybody knows everybody. We frequently just get up and walk over. And say, hey, Benjamin Smith just emailed in, and then everybody in the vicinity knows exactly who that client is.
That is awesome.
I actually, literally right before this interview started, I just peeked at my email on my phone, and another U.S. military veteran applicant we just helped get a 710 on the GMAT.
Wow.
One of our somebody on our staff got an email testimony from unsolicited, just saying, I just want you guys to know I just got a 710 at GMAT. She just forwarded it to the entire staff at Veritas Prep, and one of our co-founders just replied to all saying, wow, this is amazing, I love this testimony. This was just minutes ago, and this happens every day.
That's it. That's awesome. And that's actually what I work for. I mean, I had just mentioned to you guys about Andrei from Russia, who, was thanking me for some of the help that he got from the MBA Wire. And this is the thing, for consultants, we actually end up getting emotionally attached to our clients. But for someone as big as Veritas Prep to even just know the full name of the student and everybody on the team to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna, let's okay, we'll figure it out. We'll all work together collaboratively to ensure that we figure this out. That's actually pretty awesome, and that's something that I think our listeners need to know, that it's not just about test prep, but it's also about client relationship. Now, I had heard that you guys are ready to launch a very new, a new prep a course. What's that about?
Yeah.
I mean, is that what I'm hearing rumors, or is this like did I get information?
Mateo, who told you this? I need names.
I can't reveal my
addresses.
sources.
No, I think what you're referring to is we're just about to launch into the GRE prep market. So we've since 2002. That's when the company was founded. We've been doing GMAT preparation. More recently, big in the United States, SAT and ACT for getting into college. We got into those two markets. May of 2015, we are launching into GRE preparation, and it's a natural because the GRE, as your listeners may know, is growing in importance as far as business school admissions goes. I think it's now 29 of the top 30 business programs is ranked by U.S. News now, except the GRE, and that's been a frequent topic of conversation here at the AGAT conference. But also just the rest of the grad market. We know what we're good at, and we know how to teach a GMAT, and we've identified what we do well in GMAT that translates over to GRE. We've identified what we don't yet do that we need to start doing for GRE prep, and we're putting the finishing touches on that GRE course right now, which is going to launch in May.
Oh, you guys are launching in May.
May, that's right.
May. Okay, so May is the month to look out for, guys. Believe it or not, I have a lot of listeners from India. So and I've seen a growing trend in GRE, all around internationally. I mean, I am actually a TOEFL prep guy, but GRE has been taking the market by storm. So I think that's really, it's actually pretty cool that you guys are always on the spearheading this movement of what's going on in the industry, what we need to prepare the students for, and then already being prepared to handle the market demand that shows up. That's pretty cool.
Thanks. Yeah.
One of the things too, you mentioned that finances are often a cause for students to do well, but it's also the test, right? Some of us are not naturally good test takers, and it's a real hurdle to overcome. But what I always tell my students is test taking, it's not like magic. Like, yes, some people are naturally good test takers, and you probably hated them in your undergrad experience, right, where they could just waltz into the test.
I haven't met anyone who likes a test.
Right?
No.
But for most of us, the test taking experience is it's just a set of skills, just like anything else in life. Some people may be naturally good at it. Some people may not be as naturally good at it. But it doesn't mean that you can't improve. Even the actual skills of taking the exam. So yes, you can improve your actual mathematical quantitative skills. Yes, you can do that. Yes, you can improve your English reading ability, that skill. But you can also improve your skills such as logic and your ability to sort of see the connections in things. You can improve your ability to just notice things about numbers. Like, oh, wait, this number 51, it seems like a weird number. Why would the GMAT or the GRE choose to use this number instead of some much easier number like 50? It looks like nothing's divisible in there, but actually it's something. 3 times 17 or whatever it is, right? And so there are, I guess it's 4 times 13, isn't it? Anyway, there's.
I forget what number you said.
4 times 13 is 52.
52?
Is 52. 51 is 317. Yeah. Anyway, so but just sort of
the math right
improving like other other sort of test taking skills that might not be obvious.
Right.
Right. That might not be like just the core content of what's being tested, but sort of what Scott was saying with those higher order thinking skills. It's just a set of skills, and no matter where you're starting from, you actually can improve those skills. So, and that's what I try to remind my students, to try to lower the anxiety, right? Try to lower, like, yes, it's a test and we're all going to have to get through it, and it's part of the admissions process. Yeah. But if we can kind of lower the anxiety around it, then you're much more likely to succeed.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, and the funny thing is, like, for example, in the last 2 years, while I've been doing like the podcast, I've been really getting down into surveying a lot of students. Number one reason why many students give up throughout the application process is the GMAT, the difficulties they face in the GMAT. And yeah, sometimes it's because they lack the right amount of English or mathematical skills. But the number two reason is financial. So you touched on two very, the number two choices for why people give up, and that's pretty cool. I mean, what kind of advices can you guys give, or how do you motivate your students, to get through that GMAT push, because there's one point, there's always a curve. And what I notice is when students reach a certain point where they've done like simulation tests, they've done the course, and then they're like, you know what, my score has not been improving.
That's right.
What is it that you tell the students? I mean,
one of the things, and in fact, it's not uncommon at all for us to have people come to Veritas Prep who've already taken the test
many
2,
times.
3, 4, 5 times. And actually, I'm not saying, that means you have to come to Veritas Prep, but just recognizing that, maybe I can look at this from a different way, use a different strategy, find something to do different instead of just more practice tests, more practice problems. Let me buy yet another book.
You got to change something.
Something's got to change. Something's got to change.
Find the underlying cause there.
Right. Like if maybe it's even talking to a friend who did do well on the GMAT and just kind of bouncing ideas off of them and saying, like, what are some new things that I can try? What are some new things that I can do? I mean, I give my students, for example, we'll sit down together and we'll do a little bit of like one-on-one analysis, right? So I'll actually watch them do a few GMAT problems, especially in problem areas that they know are problem areas.
Right.
And then I may give them some drills specific to them. So for example, very often a problem is missed in the first 30 seconds or in the last 30 seconds.
Wow.
And so let me talk about the last 30 seconds first. The last 30 seconds is often that either you just answered the wrong question, right? It was asking for X and you solved for Y, and there was just one more step to getting to that right answer. You did all the math right, and there's one little trick at the end.
Mistake at the end.
Yeah. And so just having that little technique of saying, let me spend 3 seconds, go back and reread just the last part of the question to make sure I'm solving it right. Maybe that's one tip that will work for you, something like that. Yeah.
And that actually reminds me, because we were kind of talking about this. I've had students say, what differentiates one prep course from another? Would you like to talk about that? Or, I mean, am I getting too close into trade secrets? I don't want to...
I don't think it's trade secrets at all, to be honest with you. We've actually been pretty open from the get-go about our approach to the test, higher order thinking, the people who run the GMAT.
High order thinking.
Graduate Management Admission Council, GMAC, GMAC.
Wow.
They've always been very clear about it's not about remembering number properties or memorizing idioms. They are trying to measure higher order thinking skills, and that's not just a neat slogan. If you doubt for a second that that's what they're trying to do, think about who their clients are. Their clients are the business schools who are assessing these candidates, and what do the business schools care about? They want to know how will these candidates do in the classroom when they come to business school, and then obviously how will they do beyond business school. They care about higher order thinking skills and the ability to analyze a problem, break down a problem, assess what information do I have, what information don't I yet have, what information do I need to synthesize from the information already given.
Right.
That's what employers hiring MBA grads care about. Therefore, that's what the business schools care about. Therefore, that's what the GMAT is trying to measure. Now, yes, you need to know your fundamental number properties. You need to know 4 times 13 is 52,
Right.
whatever it might be. You need to know what GMAC and what we refer to as high school level mathematics, just referring to the quant section. And then obviously, as much as a lot of international candidates don't like it, there's obviously a minimum level of English proficiency. That's just sort of that's the cost of entry with the GMAT, like it or not.
Of course, you want to study abroad, you have to speak the language
You have
abroad.
to speak the language, of course.
That's
but GMAC, it was funny. A few years ago, they hold an annual GMAT test prep summit. The people who run the GMAT do, and they really have a good attitude about it. They don't want there to be a lot of mystery around the GMAT. They've been pretty open about their approach to the GMAT, what they're trying to measure, and therefore we've been pretty open about how we train people.
Right.
So there's not a lot of trade secrets because it's actually it's pretty open about what they want. But a few years ago, in one of these test prep summits, they said, yes, sentence correction, one of the verbal question types on the GMAT, is not about idioms. We're not testing idioms. There's just some sort of like throwaway comment while we were about to break to go to the lunch buffet.
Right.
And this created a storm in the test prep industry because some of our larger competitors have made their mark, saying, here, when you start the course, download your idiom list. Don't forget to download our flashcard app for idioms. And I'm only picking on one example, but this at the time, we were doubled over laughing at Veritas Prep quarters.
Of course.
That's not an exaggeration. Because it's something we've been saying from the get-go, not because we're so brilliant or because we know something others don't. We've essentially been doing what GMAC has been doing with the GMAT, which is trying to assess, in their case, trying to assess higher order thinking skills, and in our case, trying to train for those skills. And that's what we've been doing since 2002.
One of the real frustrations, too, I think, is oftentimes you are building skills, and that takes time, right? And it does take a little bit of patience, right? It's not like I can go from 0 to 100 by tomorrow just by sitting in a 3-hour Veritas Prep course, right?
Or by reading 3 articles online.
Right.
It takes effort.
Like, if you are looking to build any sort of skill, whether it's coming and playing American baseball or something, right? Like, it's not something that you can just
Scott's field.
Have Scott
Come to me.
teach you a little bit about, right? And then you just tomorrow become a member of the Yankees or something, right? Like, it takes time to build skills, and so that's important as well. To maybe give a quick example. Okay. Of what Scott is talking about as far as higher order thinking skills. Like what is the what is the GMAT actually testing? Like, why are they testing this? One of the biggest things as an instructor, I get people who ask all the time, why are these data sufficiency questions on the GMAT? Now, if your listeners may not be familiar, the GMAT uses a question type that is called data sufficiency that's not on any other test that I've ever seen in the world, only on the GMAT.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It asks you a question.
That's what makes it so hard.
And then it gives you 2 statements, right?
Yeah.
Statement number 1 gives you a little piece of information. Statement number 2 gives you a different piece of information.
Yes.
And it says, which of these 2 is sufficient to be able to answer the question? They don't say, what is the answer? They just say, could you get to the answer based on this information, based on that information, or both, right?
Right. Make the connection.
Yeah, and what I ask, the example that I give to my students is, for example, in marketing. What if I give you the question, should we raise prices? Should we raise prices? Mm-hmm. The answer is either yes, we should raise prices, or no, we shouldn't raise prices, right?
Right.
But what do I need to know to get to that answer, right? Or would I want to know something about the market? Would I want to get some market data? Sure. Would I want to know something about our supply chain and our costs on our side, right? Mm-hmm. Would I want to know something about the demand curve, right? But knowing what you would need to know first is actually incredibly important, so that you don't go out and spend $10 million on some market research where it's completely useless to answer your question. Do you see that the skill set is exactly the same, even though I'm testing algebra on the GMAT,
right,
and I'm asking about whether I should raise prices when I go out into the workforce?
Yeah,
Wow.
and the people who run the GMAT have never been cagey about this. They've always been so clear about it. And where test takers get themselves in trouble and some other test prep companies, I believe, lead them into trouble is, let me show you a shortcut to that.
Yeah, they're looking for a system, a way to beat the system.
And don't take the shortcut. Do it the quote unquote long way. But when you hear long way, that doesn't mean it's going to take you 10 minutes to solve the problem. It's taking a step out. What do I know? What don't I know? What are they asking me? What do I need to do to determine what information I have and what information I still need? Do it the right way, and you're going to get the right answer. That's not only true on the GMAT. That's true in business. That's just true in life, day in and day out.
Exactly. Wow, guys, candidates of the MBA Wire, if there has been a podcast that I have set out that has so much insight, more than this one, I mean, I challenge you to let me know, because this is amazing.
No, this is the best one.
This is the best one. No, this is the best one. You guys are cool though. No, it's so fun because we spend. I'm actually having a little bit of wine, so if I'm slurring a little bit, please forgive me. And I thank you guys for really spending a portion of your precious time here during the conference. I mean, there are things that are going on right now that is changing the industry, guys, and they're here to give you guys some special attention to talk about, Veritas Prep and the GMAT and whatnot. And here I am having a few sips of wine. So forgive me on that end. But listen, there are so many nuggets of insight, so many golden nuggets here that you guys can take away. You will have to listen to this once or twice or 3 times. But here's the thing. I'm standing right in front with 2 alumni of Kellogg.
Yep.
I mean, they're both alumni.
Both of us.
Right.
Yep.
So wait, they've gone through the application process. They've went through what you guys are going through now. They've had to worry about finances, changing companies, or getting out of their companies, or moving to another city. I don't know. We're here to talk about that, but this is real. I mean, this is real down to earth stuff. We're not talking about this, company that's sitting up high in the ivory tower. We're talking about 2 guys, real down to earth, 2 alumni from Kellogg. And I want to talk a little bit just about Kellogg and what your experiences were like. So I have 3 questions because I know we have to roll because we have to go, and there's another event coming up now, and it's important, and we can't spend it here chatting and stuff. We may have sometime in the future when we're all millionaires, but that's for the future. For now, though, I have 3 questions. Question number 1 is the following. When you guys were applying to Kellogg or applying for your MBAs, what were your difficulties, the hardest part of the application process, and how did you get through it? 1 point for each. I mean, what do you guys think?
Maybe I'll take a crack at this first. I was what I call a very non-traditional applicant. So I came from broadcast journalism before I went to business school. I worked in TV news. And I'll tell you, I did not know a single person who went to a top-tier MBA program, not one person. And so for me, I didn't really know what I didn't know, right? I didn't know what I was, this whole community of people who are applying to business schools who know each other and come from very traditional MBA backgrounds like management consulting or investment banking or things, because they help each other out. I really was kind of on my own. Wow. And I'll have you know that I applied 2 years in a row. The first year I applied to only 3 schools. I was interviewed but not admitted to Harvard. I was not even interviewed at Stanford. And then I just applied to my local. I was in Seattle, my hometown at the time.
Nice.
And I applied to the University of Washington, and I got in with a scholarship to the University of Washington, and I could stay with relatives even. I mean, I could have gone for an MBA for free, and but I got some good advice from my alumna interviewer from Harvard, because I reached out to her and I said, because in my mind, I had interviewed for Harvard, and the interview seemed to go really well, and yet I still wasn't admitted. So I thought, oh, maybe I bombed something in this interview.
Yeah, she has some feedback for you.
Right?
Yeah.
Like maybe there's something that I could have improved on. So I reached out to her, kind of fishing a little bit, to say is there something that I really blew that I didn't know that I blew? And she actually, it was one of the kindest emails that I have ever received in my entire life. Not related to MBA, anything.
Right. Well, but Travis received some kind emails. I mean, this is we're talking about like legendary level.
And she emailed me and said, oh, I know, the school's been looking for a little bit more experience, and I was young at the time. I only had a couple of years of work experience, and she said, if it fits into your life plans, I highly recommend that you reapply. Because Harvard is all the worse for not having you in their class. And that inspired, I hadn't even thought in my mind, oh, if this doesn't work out, I'll reapply next year. This was not even on my radar at all. But it was a real challenge. I mean, this was the really most challenging time in my whole thing because I did have an offer in hand. I did have a scholarship. I could go to school for free. I could live near home. And
there's a convenience behind
there was
that.
There's a lot of this, and I decided to turn that all down and start all over again the next year. And my grandmother nearly died when I told her that I was not taking this scholarship to our local program.
She's good still, right?
She's still alive. Don't worry. Don't worry. MBA Wire fans, my grandmother's still doing fine.
All right.
But that was a real challenge, right? Where I thought I had done everything in my power, and I got a good GMAT score, and and I wrote good essays, and I had an outstanding interview, and it wasn't enough but I went and I reapplied, and I did much more homework, and I discovered Kellogg. It wasn't even on my radar at all. I mean, people told me about it, and they said, oh, it's a marketing school. Oh, I'm not that interested in marketing.
Right.
And I didn't even give it a second glance. Yeah. I did more homework the second time around. I was a much better candidate, was admitted to multiple schools, and suddenly had multiple offers, as a reapplicant.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. But then Kellogg came under the radar. It's just not marketing. I mean, I know I'm trying to sell ice to Eskimos here that these guys are alumni from Kellogg.
Yeah.
But it's not just marketing. There's a reason why Kellogg is pushing out some of the top management guys in every industry possible. I mean, I have such a high respect for Kellogg. I've never been, and I plan to go.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
It was a great.
Yeah. What was hard for you? Scott?
It's funny. I had almost the inverse problem.
Really?
I'm going to date myself a little bit. I applied in the fall of 2001.
Yeah.
So think about, particularly if you were in the United States at that time, think about what was happening. The initial dot-com bubble in which my friends and I made hay, or thought we had made paper hay in the end of the 90s, the beginning of the 2000s, most of which evaporated when the market crashed. Obviously 9/11 happened. The economy started to turn south really fast.
Yes.
And you had I was living in the Washington, D.C. area at the time. And I was working for a .com, and I was working for a company that had gone from 400 people down to 70. We'd shed that many people in the course of 9 months.
Wow.
And in fact, the day that I was visiting Kellogg was their third and final round of layoffs, when they dropped from 200-ish people down to 70 people. And I woke up in a hotel in I think it was Niles, Illinois, adjacent to Evanston, where Kellogg is headquartered. And I woke up to a voicemail from my boss saying, "Hey, you still have a job. But I'm going to have a lot of tough meetings today. That's
good news at the time, yeah.
I'm going to have a lot of tough meetings today, so it's going to be hard to reach, but I'll see you on Monday." And he didn't know I was in Evanston visiting Kellogg. He knew I was in Chicago. He thought I was there for leisure, but I was too even afraid to tell. My boss was a really good guy, but I was too afraid to tell anybody that was applying to business school, because that was the environment at the time. Everybody was getting laid off. Everybody was losing their job. I didn't want to be expendable. So economy is turning south. I'm what at the time became a pretty popular term. I at least would appear to be a .com refugee.
Right.
and there were thousands of us applying to business school all at the same time. And not only were there a lot of us, but we were applying for what admissions officers consider the wrong reason. You're applying because you have no other choice.
Okay.
They don't want to see that. They want to see somebody who's ready to take his career to the next level, is ready to accelerate. I can do anything, but instead I choose to step out of the workforce for 2 years to attend Kellogg or wherever the business school might be. And even though I thankfully, by the grace of God, still had a job, let me tell you, there's no better impetus for preparing for the GMAT than your company starting to lay everybody off. You start preparing for the GMAT. You're staying up late reading the official guide for GMAT review, and you're burning through all 1,000+ questions in no time, my friend. But so thankfully, I was not a .com refugee in that I still had a job, but I had the appearance of being like so many other people who were applying all around me.
Right.
And I would go to information sessions for Kellogg, for Harvard, for Tuck, for Wharton as they came through. And I was meeting a lot of other people. DC actually has a pretty big tech scene, and there were a lot of .com refugees or people who were expecting to lose their jobs, all in these information sessions. And it was at that moment when I realized I look just like these guys, and it also doesn't help that
I
I'm a
had
white
3
male.
friends at that time, man, that really hit the hits.
Yeah.
And so here we are, most of us white males who are out of work because our easy money jobs are going away. And I realized at that moment, I can't look just like these guys. I need to distinguish myself from these other applicants. Whether I'm rightly or wrongly going to be lumped in with them, I'm going to be lumped in with them. So I need to do everything I can to distinguish myself from them. So I relied on every other facet of my application, my community service, the stories I told in my essays, the particular stories that I asked my recommenders to highlight in my recommendations, the things that I made sure to emphasize in my interview, so that I didn't look like a guy who was applying to business school only because he didn't have a plan B.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just to kind of give you guys a little filler here, I mean, this was a time when, my friends have explained that they would go to a job interview where there were like 40 to 50 people in line for one position within the industry. I mean, this is crazy. It was just one of those situations where, it was a tough time, man. I mean,
so that was my lesson, and that was one of the cornerstones of what became our MBA admissions philosophy: the importance of distinguish yourself versus other applicants, particularly other applicants who look very similar to yourself.
Okay.
All came out of Scott being terrified that he might lose his job and has to get into business school, and how is he going to look different compared to all the other similar applicants?
We still preach it to this day.
I know, man. Talk about difficulty. I mean, it's, we all face certain difficulties in different extents and different in different scenarios. But the main important thing I think here is just to really, understand what you want and really push for it, really go for it. Identify what's going on around you, and then figure it out for yourselves. I mean, I don't want to get grim on this situation here, but we are kind of running out of time. So I need to get to the second question before we get into some deep insights. But here's the second question, guys. Let's take it to a positive note here. What do you both miss the most about Kellogg? So I'm sure that right now in your minds, you guys are coming up with about 17 different things, but we want number one top thing about Kellogg that each of you, Travis, you graduated in 2002, is that right?
No, I was actually 2009. I graduated in 2009.
Okay.
Yep.
And then
I started in 2002, I graduated in 2004.
Okay, 2002,
Yep.
2004, yeah, there was a 2 in there, so I'm not trying to make these guys older than they look. They actually look younger than I am, so so we got an 2009 alum and an 2004 alum. Yes.
Yep.
Number one thing that you guys miss the most from Kellogg?
So I'll tell you. So Kellogg is really known for its parties.
Yeah.
Right. It's a fun social party school.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, to be perfectly honest with you, what I really miss is just the opportunity every single day to be surrounded by incredibly bright people who are thinking about new things. Every day we're thinking about new things, right?
Yeah.
Now, we actually have kind of an advantage at Veritas Prep because we have a lot of MBAs and we have a lot of incredibly intelligent people, and we are surrounded by a group of really smart people, and we do think about what we can do for Veritas Prep down the future and this sort of thing. But when you're in your MBA, it's so much broader, right? What you think about, where I'm in marketing strategy class one moment, but then I'm in an operations class the
Right,
next. I'm in this,
right.
and just learning new things constantly,
Yeah.
and not just in class, right?
No,
I mean,
no.
that's the key thing about Kellogg is it is
Inside.
24 hours a day, right? You know, and,
inside and outside of class. Right?
yeah, and to me that was just I love education and I love to learn, and I do miss that opportunity every single day to just be surrounded by it.
Wow. Wow.
I'd say the thing that and I'm sure you can say this about most top or all the top business schools, I really miss the diversity of the student body. And let me stop for a moment. When you hear diversity, you think skin color, ethnicity, gender. I'm not even
so
talking
broad,
about
yeah.
that. I'm talking about the diversity of backgrounds, professional and personal. And if I ever, I would just find myself in a random lunch conversation with somebody who came from an industry in a country that I knew nothing about. And after a half hour, I would be like, oh my, that is so crazy. I want to learn more about desalination of water in Israel. That's freaking weird. Whoa.
Yeah.
Or, somebody, from the, worked or was served in the British Army and their equivalent of special forces, just, telling me what he could tell me, and it's probably a lot that he couldn't tell me. And just hearing it, and then it'd turn around and they'd be interested in my dumb little background.
Right.
They're like, whoa, you'd worked in this, this tech.com. Tell me about that. I was like, oh, I feel silly compared to what you're describing.
Yeah, I guess that because it's not familiar to them.
Yeah, it's not familiar to them, so it's impressive to them. But to me, it sounded like nothing.
So
to
ordinary,
them,
right?
It sounded so ordinary, and their experiences to them sounded ordinary. But I found it fascinating, and you could just. You could, throw a rock and hit somebody who's experienced so much that you've never experienced, and if anything, I didn't take advantage of that enough while I was there. But boy, did I did appreciate the time, and I appreciated it even more once I left that environment.
Nice. The thing is, diversity about experiences that you haven't personally experienced. That's what's that's the core of diversity. It doesn't matter what it really entails. What title it carries.
Exactly.
It's whatever experience that you haven't had. That's what schools are looking for. That's what our students and candidates really need to understand, is that the schools are there for your best interests. They're not doing this filtering process just because they want to choose the elite. There's no such thing as that. Maybe, it's a misconception in the market, but they are trying to provide you with the best possible experience you can get within 2 years as far as business involved.
Sure.
Which brings us sort of to the last question, because we can really go hours on this, but again, time limitation. We're gonna go really quick now, guys, because we gotta go.
Speed round. All right,
speed round, yeah, kind of speed round. Just one last question. There is a pint of some amazing import beer waiting for me. Sorry. This is so professional, right? Guys,
all friends here.
Summarizing, we have 2 Kellogg alumni working at Veritas Prep who are also working for you. It's there's nothing else than that. There's nothing other than that. These guys are working for you, for your benefit. What would you say as a way to close this amazing interview, your final pieces of advice, not only as Kellogg alumni, but also as Veritas Prep specialists here in whatever departments you guys are responsible for, and you guys are looking after our students? What would be your final word of advice? What is the last thing that you want to say before we close this?
For me, I'm actually going to put on my admissions hat
All right.
here and talk. One of the
It looks like a sombrero.
Probably, yeah.
That's not
my biggest or my key piece of advice, I would say, is to actually talk to people as you're doing your research. So, for example, if you're researching schools, to talk to students who are current students in those schools and alums, recent alums, that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
But also, I have people who come to me and say, oh, Travis, what should I say for my career goals? And I say, well, what are your career goals, right? And they may not know what their career goals are, right? Like, I know I'm currently doing XYZ and I don't want to keep doing it. I want to do something new and exciting. And so I want to go to business school to find out what that is. But the admissions officers want to see that you've done research on at least one path that you, now are they going to hold you to it in graduation and say you must do that? Of course not.
Yeah.
But they want to see that you've done that level of research, and not just
do.
kind of your online looking at job descriptions, this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Actually talk to someone. You know, if you want to become a management consultant, talk to someone who is a management consultant and really understand what it's going to take to transition into that. Like, talk to people as you do this this process. Whether you're studying for the GMAT, whether you're researching schools, whether you're looking at your career goals, whatever it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. I could get so deep into that.
Yeah.
And that's actually true, because here's the thing. I always tell my students, you want to do an interview, the best interview prep possible is not getting a coach like me. And then this is actually, I'm shooting my own foot here, but shooting myself in the own foot. But this is the truth. This is out of sincerity. Look, the best interview prep you can have is to talk to alumni. But there are other questions in the interview process, which is, what are your goals? So you need to talk to people who are going to be in the industry that you're aiming for post MBA. It's not enough to talk to your supervisor who did an MBA 14 years ago.
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, I have an uncle who went to, this school back in '82.
Right.
I mean, it's not. You have to figure out. You have to talk to the people that you have to look forward, push forward, talk to the people around you. That is fantastic piece of advice. Travis, thank you so much. How about you, Scott? What is your final?
You know what? I'm actually going to share something that I read in an article.
Secret weapon.
This is a secret weapon coming at you. A Mateo Chang exclusive.
Oh my goodness! Thank you guys
in all
so
seriousness, and I'll give credit where it's due. There was a Business Week series, Business Week's website, back in 01-ish when I was applying. They had student ambassadors. They had students at different business schools who would write articles about life in business school and getting into business school. And I believe this was written by a student at University of Chicago, now called Chicago Booth. And one thing he said was one of those light bulb aha moments for me. He said, don't put too much weight on the advice that you get from your friends and family, because they already know you and they know that you're great.
Yeah.
They know you're a hard worker. They know that you're sincere. They know you're brilliant. And so they can't look at you objectively. And so, your mom says, of course, honey, you're going to get into Chicago. You're
Sometimes
gonna get into
even
Kellogg.
if you're not.
Right? Even if you're not, you don't know what they're thinking, but at least they're telling you, you're bright, you're wonderful. And, the point he made was, don't forget that the admissions officer, they're looking at you fairly and objectively, but they don't really know you. And in 900 words of essays or whatever it might be, or hopefully you get an interview, hopefully it comes through how great you really are. But your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your best friend, they know you, they love you, and they know all of your great qualities. So they're going to be trying to give you helpful advice, but without realizing it, they're actually going to be derailing you at many turns because they know you too well to help you in the right way. And that's where, now obviously it doesn't mean you have to run out and hire an admissions consultant, but man, get at least another set of eyeballs on your essays.
Yes.
And don't,
preferably professional.
and don't be afraid to hear things that might be a little painful to hear.
Yeah.
You sound unfocused. You sound insincere. You sound a little immature here. Your career goals sound unrealistic. Mom's not going to tell you those things.
Nope.
Mom's just not going to tell you those things. But
Sorry,
you probably need to hear those things, and the time to hear it is before you apply, not in the rejection analysis done by the school after you're rejected. Let's get all that feedback and work it into your application on the front end.
Wow, you're absolutely correct. I mean, I'm trying to be impartial here, although we do work in the industry. But here's the thing, you need a second opinion. You need a third opinion. You need a professional eye. Guys who have successfully pushed other applicants through onto their top schools. And family just doesn't cut it. I mean, I'm in this industry mainly because my mom always told me that I would be a movie star, and it didn't work. Yeah, really.
There's still time.
Yeah, no.
Right.
In the auditions for the thing, Brad Pitt took my spot. So.
Movie usher
blame
number 2.
him.
I heard they're auditioning next week.
No, all jokes aside, guys. I mean, these are two great, fantastic advice and insights here that we're talking about. I mean, really take another opinion and really get. I mean, you're talking about top B schools that you're trying to apply to. Take it seriously. This is your future you're talking about, and you only have a 2-3 year window And that's the thing, you know, I have a chip on my shoulder. I missed sort of that. I actually missed that window for a full 2-year MBA at a top 5, top 10. But that's why I'm here pushing it on to you guys. You know, you are going to live my dream. So first of all, Scott and Travis, I want to thank you guys so much. This has been invaluable. And I guarantee you I will be bugging you in the next
Please do.
AGAC conferences to continue giving us these insights. And we're going to,
Sure.
you know, I want to, you know, I have so many things that I'm thinking about where I just want to do like a conversational thing where we're just talking. You know, there's some facts here that Scott has about the laser thing, but we'll get into that next year. That's a cliffhanger right there.
That's right.
Stay tuned.
I bet no one's gonna remember it next year.
AGAC 2016.
I know, 2016. But here's the thing, you know, for the few of those who are going to remember, there is a secret behind the whole laser thing that we talked about in episode 17. So, and we'll get to that next year. But for now, I want to thank you guys so much on behalf of the MBA Wire, on behalf of, you know, AGAC, your presence here. And Veritas Prep, really, you know, it's been kind of like Paris. I really changed my mindset after I've met you guys and to see how real you guys are with not only the preparation part of it, but also the emotions that you guys have with wanting to help students get through. So I am very honored. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Mateo, thank you. It's been fun.
It has been
We'll
fun.
do it again.
Yeah.
Let's pick it up again in Boston next year, if not sooner.
Yes.
All right.
Hopefully sooner. Guys, my pint is waiting for me. This is Mateo Chang from London signing off. Check you guys later.
Thanks for tuning into the MBA Wire. Would you like to know more? Visit us online at thembawire.com today and leave your questions and feedback. While you're there, sign up for an exclusive free audio series to help you strengthen your MBA interview. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on the MBA Wire.